Hello, good morning, and a warm welcome to session 3 of today's Compass 22.2. I'm Mike Gray, Capability and Resourcing Manager at Health Education England. Thanks for joining the NHS Project Futures Compass event today. During the next 45 minutes, you're going to be hearing from Joe Jolly at the Environmental Agency about why now is the time for digital-driven project delivery. You'll hear from Blanca and James, who are here to share their experiences enrolled onto the Level 4 Project Data Analytic Apprenticeship. You'll have your chance to participate in 4 apprenticeship polls, so fingers at the ready. And we'll have Cambridge Spark and Projecting Success digital apprenticeship providers available for an exchange about some of the practical aspects of apprenticeships. We really want your voice to be heard in this session, so please use the chat to introduce yourself, network with others, and share resource links. Please put your questions to session speakers in the Q&A, or look out for the feedback form, which will be made available at the end of the session. I'm now delighted to introduce Joe Jolly. Joe is Deputy Director for Major Projects and Programme Management at the Environmental Agency. She's a strong advocate for the project profession. She's pioneering the use of data analytics through the Project Data Analytical Task Force, driving the need to rethink our approach to project delivery and the role of data analytics within it. Thanks for joining us today, Joe. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for a great introduction. And it's lovely to sort of meet people virtually. Hopefully one day we'll meet in person. So just over the next 10 minutes, I wanted to talk about why we need to transform project delivery and why project data analytics has such a profound role to play in transforming project delivery. So I'm going to start in a place that might not seem so obvious. So this is a quote from my fabulous Chief Executive, Sir James Bevan. And when he was talking about climate change, he said, "It's not as bad as you think, it's worse." Now, this was from a speech back in 2018. And I'm afraid this quote is even more pertinent and even more accurate today than it was 4 years ago. Now that drives a whole load of emotions in me. It makes me feel anxious. It makes me feel quite angry, actually. But do you know what? I have enormous, enormous hope. And I'll tell you why as we go through this story. So let's be real about where we are with the impacts of climate change. And I promise you, this will get back to the project delivery profession and each and every role that we have in project delivery and that you all have. So Sir David King established the Centre for Climate Repair with engineers at Cambridge University. And the reason being that deep and rapid emission reduction of greenhouse gases and removal of greenhouse gases at scale will not be enough to mitigate and slow the impacts of climate change, because certain climatic systems have already gone beyond a tipping point. And that includes, for example, the Arctic, where more ice now melts in the summer than can refreeze in the winter due to the relative difference of heat reflection of the ice and the dark water. So that's why Sir David King and engineers at Cambridge University are developing a marine cloud brightening system to refreeze the Arctic. They're looking at restoring and repairing damaged climatic systems. That is the scale of the problem, but I know that we can solve it if we all get our minds to it. And this publication by McKinsey back in January 2020, it's a great document, really well written, very clearly presented, and it beautifully explains the complexity of climate change and just how it impacts us. So it's non-linear. So crops can cope with a certain amount of dryness and then suddenly they die. Human beings can cope with a certain amount of heat and then we die. It's systemic. So that means what happens in one part of the world impacts another. And we saw this back in 2017 with the Puerto Rican storms, where our just-in-time maximum productivity supply chain can be so easily impacted by climatic shocks. And so a lot of routine medical supplies that are manufactured in Puerto Rico for the US were completely wiped out by this storm, and many, many routine operations had to be cancelled. So, and we see it even more. That was 5 years ago. Look how we're seeing it today. And it's regressive, so it drives the wedge between the poorest and the most disadvantaged and the wealthiest. It drives that wedge ever greater. And again, we see that in our country now, don't we? We see it with the massive pressures on energy prices. We are underprepared as people, as organisations and as countries. We are underprepared, again, as we've seen this summer, and our opportunity to act is time limited, but we have an opportunity to act. Please believe that. So, project delivery. I will bring this together in a minute. So how are we doing? How's it going? Pretty poor. If we look at the study from Oxford Said Business School, I think they've looked at about 15,000 major projects worldwide, and the likelihood of one of those major projects delivering on time, cost and quality is 0.5%. We know that at least 1 in 3 hours in the UK are spent working on projects. So we spend a huge amount of time and effort working on projects. And it means that a huge amount of what we do is project delivery. So that's something to keep in mind. And we know that productivity across the construction sector hasn't improved in decades. That, to me, personally, says it's an industry that is no longer fit for purpose. So how do we want it to be? You know, I realise this all sounds a bit grim on a Wednesday morning. Do you know what? In some ways it is, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay to sit with that discomfort. Personally, I don't think we should hurry away from it, because actually I think it's sometimes what we need in order to change. So imagine a time, how do we want it to be? It's a beautiful question to ask the human mind. How do we want it to be? Because then we start to initiate and excite the more creative parts of our brains. So I tell you how I'd love project delivery to be. I'd love it to be that we really value the human factors in project delivery. And in fact, maybe we don't even measure time, cost and quality anymore. Maybe we purely measure the human factors in project delivery. And I'll come on to talk about what I mean in a moment. Because when you think of any lessons learned workshop, what do the fantastic projects say? We had each other's backs. We trusted each other. God, when we were up against it, we really pulled together. I never hear anybody say, because we had a brilliant dashboard, because I knew exactly where I was with my programme at any one point in time. I'm not saying they're not important, but it's not what makes the difference, is it? And what about the bad projects? It was a toxic environment. I couldn't speak up, or when I did, people didn't listen. This is all about humans. Secondly, we drive out waste through the sharing of data. And when I talk about the sharing of data, I don't just mean, you know, I'll send you a spreadsheet with a few charts in it. I mean, we put all of our data into a data trust, for obviously held securely and appropriately, but so that we benefit the whole community, that we benefit and drive performance across all of construction and all of project delivery. Obviously, I'm particularly focused on construction, that's my background, but across all of project delivery, it doesn't matter what type of project we're talking about here. And that every project delivers benefits far beyond the original stated purpose. Now, you might think, oh, come on, Joe, we're struggling just to deliver the ones we say in our business cases. I think we can deliver more, and I think we can do it without additional costs. This is simply through the choices we make. So let me run you through an example of each of these, because this is happening now. This isn't 20 years when we're going around on jetpacks. We're doing this now because we're choosing to. Nobody's made us, we're choosing to. So the human connections, two things that just exist at the moment, two things that I'm aware of. There's probably many, many more. One of them is a very simple questionnaire called Meeting Quality. You can look these things up on the internet, Meeting Quality. And What I've got here is just a screenshot of a very simple questionnaire that people fill in just before a meeting. They obviously know they're taking part in this. It takes no more than 45 seconds, because apparently if anything takes more than 45 seconds, people don't sort of fill it in. And then the AI that runs across the results, including this sort of multiple choice, but also a bit of free text, starts to give you sentiment analysis, starts to tell you how hopeful the team are feeling, or how fearful, or their levels of energy. So it starts to give you real human emotions. And one of the examples I've seen of this being used is where a project team, the optimism was staying really high from meeting to meeting, but the energy levels were beginning to drop. And what that is a strong indicator of is the team were just beginning to burn out. They're adamant they're going to deliver, but something's beginning to go wrong because they are just burning through their energy. And that would be a time for a project leader to know to intervene. And I don't think we'd start to see that in time, cost and quality for a long time yet, until the project was going off the rails and until those people had been harmed. So let's see how we can explore using that on our projects. The second one is from a company called Innovisor, and they've been doing this work for 15 years now. And what they've recognised is that 3% of any group influences more than 90% of the wider group. 3%, and it's not the hierarchy. It's not who you think it might be. It's the people you trust. It might be the introverted thinkers. It might be the people who aren't so obvious, but it's the ones that you trust, and they are the ones that make the biggest influence. And again, through a very simple survey and through the use of AI, you can identify who these 3 people are. You can also see how organisations are fragmented or not, or how they're integrated. And this screenshot here is a beautiful study of how the centre of excellence was actually, the yellow dot, was actually sort of not connected to the centre of the organisation. And then through 2 years of transformation, you can see the second survey on the right hand side, that centre of excellence is now really connected to the centre of the organisation and performing at its optimum. So again, how would we know all this if we weren't using data and AI? We wouldn't. And if you try to implement change without knowing some of these things, it's highly likely to fail. The second one then, sharing data on a scale we haven't imagined. So I have the privilege of having been appointed director of a not-for-profit company called Construction Data Limited. And together with colleagues from Costain and Sir Robert McAlpine and Mace, we are running a company where partners can put their data into the trust, and then they can gain access, mine analytics and insights from the data that they share. And also as part of the Project Data Analytics Task Force, which anyone and everyone is more than welcome to get involved with, we are leading a change across the whole community. So happy to talk about that more, but please know again, this is happening. So currently at the Environment Agency, Jacobs and BAM Nuttall, 2 huge delivery partners, are putting their data into the data trust so that we can drive up the health and safety performance and the performance of carbon reduction across the construction sector. Okay, final 2 slides. How can we deliver benefits beyond the original stated goals? Well, this is how. So this is the Boston Barrier project, a flood defence project, a superb feat of engineering. And in itself, you could say, wow, isn't that enough? No, I'd say no, it's not enough. I'd say there's a duty on every single project delivery professional to contribute the maximum we can to the UN Sustainable Development Goals through all that we do, so that the world becomes a better place. I don't know how much better it will become. I don't care that I don't know. I know it will be better. So why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we do our damnedest to tackle the climate emergency through the UN Sustainable Development Goals, through the work we do in project delivery? And the Boston Barrier team mapped the benefits of the scheme against the UN SDGs retrospectively. And what they found was half the design team was female. So that helped to contribute to number 5 there, gender equality. BAM Nuttall employed people within a 50-mile radius of the scheme, quite a deprived part of the UK. So it helped to contribute to more sustainable communities. And this was just without even thinking about it. This was about doing good things. They went into schools, so it contributed to better education. Imagine if we think about this at the start of every project. None of that cost them anything. It was just good choices. And what we've done now with data analytics is we took this to the October hackathon last year. So we've developed this into a benefits register tool. So we're going to open source this soon. So anybody could use this on their project. Think about those 17 goals. Think about how you can maximize your contribution towards them and share the learning through an open sourced tool. So again, data and analytics, joining up a community, contributing to a better society and a better planet. Why wouldn't we? So to finish, when my fabulous chief exec started, climate change, it's too true to be good. And he asked us, let's tell it like it is. Let's be honest, let's be brave. Let's tackle it together. Let's share, let's use data analytics, and let's redouble our efforts. So thank you so much. This is my motivation. This is the difference I feel we can make. And I look forward to working with you all over the coming years. Thank you.
Wow, Joe, what a way to open session 3. Absolutely brilliant. Fascinating, some of that stuff. I feel a podcast coming on, Joe. Would you be up for that? Yeah, thumbs up. Excellent. That's great, Joe. There's some real nice comments actually going in at the chat at the moment. One from Dennis O'Keefe said he couldn't agree more on some of the things that you're talking about. And Dennis from Edinburgh. Apparently it's sunny there too. So yeah, lots of I think a lot of resonating opening session there, Joe. And I think a lot of people will draw some strength from it and really recognise actually people are at the centre of a lot of this. So anything we can do to support people through that can lead to better outcomes. So thanks, Joe. Thanks again. If people do want to get in touch with Joe, she has offered to pop her email out there if you want to reach out. So we're going to move on now, and I'm going to be sharing some enrolment experiences of apprenticeships on the level 4 project data analyst apprenticeship. So I'm pleased to be bringing in Blanca Garcia Plaza, who's the corporate benefits manager at Health Education England, and James Garner, senior director for global head of insights and analytics at Leeds. Welcome to you both, and thanks for taking time to chat with us today.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Morning, everyone.
So tell us a little bit about, whoever wants to go first, tell us a little bit about why you enrolled onto the digital apprenticeship. Why not just go on a 2-day course rather than something that's 13 months or longer?
Do you want me to start? Are you okay, Blanca?
That's
so
okay.
The reason I decided to enrol was I'd been working with Martin, or being part of the project data analytics community for quite a while before I enrolled, and I was very excited about everything his company was doing in terms of spreading this awareness. It just really resonated with me, similar to things that Joe was talking about. It just made sense that this is the way to stop the stagnation that we've all gone through in the industry. I've been in the industry 20 years and I've just seen no real progress in terms of making us more efficient and delivering projects better. So it resonated with me, and I got involved with the community. And as I moved into a new role, because my background is actually cost management, but as I moved into the role of head of insight and analytics, I realized that we need to improve the data literacy within my company. I work at a company called Leeds, some of you may know, and I wanted to kind of really improve the data literacy so that people could start understanding the benefits of project data analytics. But before sort of beating the drum, I thought it's important that I actually lead by example. So it wasn't just me and 3 colleagues enrolled on the course, because we just wanted to find out what it was all about. And I'm so glad I did, because it was a really rewarding experience. And if anything, I expected it to kind of confirm what I thought, that this is a very significant way that we can improve the industry, but it actually took it a step further than that for me. And I now see, I'm very positive about where the future of the industry can go through doing this apprenticeship. And, you know, also working with a company like Martin's company, Projecting Success, I know Martin's talking later, really framing it around the domain. I think there's a lot of apprenticeships, and you mentioned, Mike, why didn't I just do a 2 or 3 day course? Yeah, I could have done that. They wouldn't have been they wouldn't have understood the domain that we're in terms of project delivery. Whereas the course that I did with Martin was very much centered around project delivery. So it understood the domain, and it's quite a peculiar domain. You know, it's very fragmented, it's very disparate, and it's you know, in a lot of ways got a lot of traditional hangovers. So that was the reason I did it. And since then, I now can feel I can speak with some confidence to my team, and we're starting to roll this out around Leeds. Having done it myself, I can talk to people, tell them what it's all about.
No, thanks for sharing that, James. How about you, Blanca? What was your route into apprenticeships?
Well, I have to say that I absolutely agree with you, James. I thought that I have to get that step forward in learning more about data and train myself up and learn more about it. But for me, why I decided to go to Projecting Success was because of how they provide the apprenticeship. For me, the way that they provide not only theory but practicality into the apprenticeship was what attracted me into the apprenticeship. That is so personal. You will have, if you decided to attend the apprenticeship, you will have all of the theory that you can think of about data, but then you actually apply it to your job. It's not only going and listen to the lesson. You have the team around you in Projecting Success supporting you all the time to apply and make a change in your role day by day. It's a commitment, but it's at the same time something that you are using day to day, and it's not only going to a learning virtual environment and listen to some kind of theory and then off you go. You have the opportunity and the full team supporting you all the time to apply into your role and make a change every day that you are in the apprenticeship. And
I mean, you mentioned about the time commitment, Blanca. How have you managed that? What kind of things can you share with people? Because I think that's some of the people I speak to, for example, are a bit concerned that it is, you know, potentially a 12, 13 month apprenticeship. It's you know, there's things you need to learn within that. How have you managed?
It's a big commitment, but the teams gave us a lot of organization and all the tools, a clear plan and path that we need to follow to be able to learn and put in practice all of the learning. So for me, I think that is a big commitment, but having that team supporting me all the time, and obviously the support of your own organization is important. If you decided to go for an apprenticeship, it's a big commitment in terms of time, but if you take that time and you use the tool that the team are giving you, I think that is so easy to go to apprenticeship, even if you are a little bit concerned at the beginning. After a few weeks, you will see that it's absolutely possible to do it on top of your job because you are applying it and you have all the tools to help you through.
Yeah. And James, what impact, as a leader of a big organization, what impact has this apprenticeship had on you and those around you, would you say?
I think just having the ability to speak from experience, having done it, and then the results of what we've done, you know, it really has spearheaded a lot of the initiatives. So when we started our digital transformation journey, because I sit within the digital transformation team, we were starting from, you know, a relatively low base in terms of, like a lot of companies, trying to figure out what this all means. But what it's enabled us to do is sort of not shortcut, but effectively get lots of proof of concepts going, and lots of what the apprenticeship does. It gets you thinking. Like, just to go back to your point about the commit. Yes, it is a big commitment, but it's fun, right? It's really interesting. It's not a burden. Yeah, it's a commitment, but it's not a burden. And what I found, it enabled us to create stuff. So I think with the senior leaders within my business, there's a saying which is seeing is believing. So you do the apprenticeship, and through the apprenticeship you can create proof of concepts and prototypes really quickly, and then you can actually show people what you're planning, and a lot of those can lead to productionized ideas. So it just takes it out of the realms of theory into realms of practice, where you can physically show people stuff that you've done. And the difference, well, especially when you're dealing with senior leaders, that's really, really important.
No, thanks for sharing that, James. And Blanca, what cool stuff have you been up to whilst you've been on the apprenticeship? Anything that's made you go wow, or that's amazing?
From my side, everything was changed. In the benefit world, we need to obviously use data all the time. It's obviously we need to find the value of everything we do, but how we gather that data, how we make it accessible to everybody, how we understand that data is what it made the difference after being in the apprenticeship. I am more able to do all of that things and help not only my team but the organization and anybody who is working with me. And as James says, it's fun. It's not just going to some class, virtual class, and listen to somebody. You have the team provided in a way that you finish your lesson and then you keep thinking. I can let you know how many hours I spend for my own time thinking about how can I improve any kind of data and automation in my work. And after that, how can I present it to my team and make them embrace that change and my passion about it. So that was the big change that I made it from the intensive week one. So it changed massively, and it helped me a lot, not only to be more efficient, but be more productive and be able to share the passion of using data in my organization.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because you both come from different sectors. James, property and construction consultancy, and Blanca from the NHS, but it sounds like you're both having very similar benefits. James, anything you want to add from your side around any cool stuff you've learned?
Yeah, I think I've covered most of it. I think what the main thing that I've learned is this is here now. It's not something that's in the future. And you mentioned we're both from different industries, but that's really relevant because data is impacting every industry, and we can learn a lot from other industries who have sort of really tapped into the power of data. It doesn't take a genius to see some of the stuff that we're faced with in our normal lives. When we log onto Netflix, it's all being driven by data to the recommendations. So it's there, it's part of our lives, and construction needs to catch up. So we shouldn't look at this as something that we bolt on or something that we might do. This is going to become reality, and the sooner we get our heads around it, I think the better, and the faster we can make progress. It's incumbent on all of us, I think, to embrace this, because it's going to happen sooner or later. So we can all make a real difference by embracing data delivery.
Yeah, I think that leads in. You've kind of answered the next question I had lined up for you, which is, how has the learning influenced your views about digital capabilities? Is there anything else you want to? How has the learning influenced your views about building digital capabilities?
Well, I think the timing's another really important thing. 10 years ago, it would have been quite difficult. The market was quite expensive. The entry point was quite expensive. What's happened in the last 10 years is as tools have become cheaper and cheaper, there's more and more low-code solutions. And what Martin's course does is it teaches you the basics of all these low-code solutions, many of which the organizations have got already. So you don't have to pay anything. So the barrier to entry is really low now. So the learning, the ability for people to learn is much easier. So everyone can get involved effectively. So whereas before it might be quite daunting, nobody should be put off by the fact that it's got the word digital in front of data.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, James. And Blanca, has it changed your career outlook, would you say?
It changed massively. Benefits management is not only about, it's all about value, and we need to understand that data and how we gather that data and how we understand and report as well. It changed. Is everybody? I feel that everybody need to build their own role, and I think that benefits management and data analytics is a great combination. I think that it was in the day 2 on the apprenticeship that one of the that it was commented that data analytics should be in every program manager, and it's part of that. And I absolutely believe in that. In that, we need to understand. We need to know how to solve the data, how to report it, and not only have a spreadsheet everywhere and just present it all of our data in a way that is not a proper way to do it. So it changed massively, and I think that it's a good boost to my career to be to have a benefit and data analytics all together.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, James. You know, you're a senior director. You're someone who makes decisions, and that can affect the way an organisation looks and feels and engages with others. What advice would you give to other senior leaders about going on an apprenticeship? Because, you know, it's a level 4, you know, you're a senior director.
Yeah.
You
know, well, as I said, I think it's one of those things. You shouldn't look at it as a burden. This is something you're interested in.
Yeah.
And you should be, because it's important. And then it's not a burden. It was fun. And it doesn't mean it's not hard work, but like any other hobby that you've got, you know, it's something that I never felt that it was you know, a burden on me. Or obviously there were times when there was a lot of hard work involved and there was some burning midnight oil to get submissions in, but you know, for me, that's part of the right. If you want to progress and you want your career to be future proofed, so it's important to do CPD. You've got to do CPD through most organizations anyway, so why not combine it with something that you're passionate about that's really going to change things for the better. And actually, for what's happened in our organization is that it's gone upwards. So we've got our CEO actually going on. So what we've taken the full course and we've created some shorter courses with Martin's help, and we've actually got the CEO going on that course. So it's helping me sell it downstream and upstream as well.
Yeah.
The impact this is having, and like I say, it's not just. It's all about the seeing is believing. Just saying I've been on a course would have been of limited. Well, it would have been of some value, but the reality is what people actually notice is the stuff that we're doing, the cool stuff that we're developing that's out there that people are using through the fact that we've done this course.
Yeah,
they want a piece of it.
Yeah, well, I wanted to finish with one question for you, James, and then we'll finish with Blanca. Was I think there's a perception that people don't see the benefits of an apprenticeship until it's finished, 13 months down the line.
Yeah,
and I've spoke to so many people who've said to me, look, from day one, from week one, I'm questioning how I'm working. I'm reaching out to others to you know, make suggestions on how they can work differently. Would you agree with that, James? You can have you know, the impacts and the benefits are felt straight away.
And I think it's the nature of the course. It is quite. I mean, you know, the word apprenticeship sometimes put people off because you think, oh, it's you know, is this something you do at college?
Yeah.
But actually, it's quite important because it does. That means it's hands-on. So there's another person in my team, just to give you, they decided to go down the route of an MSc in digital transformation, and that was valuable, but it was all theoretical. And he actually said, I wish I'd done your course or what you did, because with his course, there's lots of theory and it's proven, but there was nothing tangible at the end of it. What you get when we're doing this course is literally from day one. You do the first intensive week, and I'm sure Blanca will agree, you can start putting the stuff you learn in the first intensive week to practice straight away.
No, that's great. Thanks, James. Blanca, we'll finish off. Any advice you want to share with others, to people that are thinking about, you know what, I'm not sure if this is for me?
Whatever the provider you pick, because we will have Richard as well from Cambridge, Spark, or from Martin from Projected Success, do it. Having the opportunity to be in an apprenticeship is a one opportunity that you have in your career. Is the way that you can learn and apply it to your role. It's not like going to the university and have multiple lessons during the week and then do a test. You have the opportunity to learn, think, apply, and make a real change in your role and in your organization with your own people, with your team that is at the end of the day like your family, and influence others that love what you do or want to improve as well. Because at the end of the day, I think that everybody who is in project management, we are doing something to improve. We are doing program to improve the lives of our stakeholders or whoever is involved.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if somebody is doubting to go to an apprenticeship, I would highly recommend to do it, whatever is the provided you prefer. I'm sure that Mike can help you to find the one that it best suits you. And we provide like a lot of apprenticeship, not only in data, and I think that it's a great opportunity to learn and apply in real time. I remember, like James says, after my second day, I went to my line manager and say, I know why we need to do that. I know what I want to do. I don't know how to do it yet. It's just my second day, but I know where we go. And that having that input from the second day, that was that demonstrate that the apprenticeship got an impact on my role and my career.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Blanca. Thanks, James. I appreciate running out of time. We're probably not going to get through everything, but that was hopefully what you shared today will dispel some of the myths and really drive apprenticeships at the top of people's agenda, particularly when we think about ICBs and the development that's going on there. Data is central to a lot of those partnerships, as well as another apprenticeship we've got available, which is the level 7 in systems thinking. We do have some polls available, and I want to bring Richard from Cambridge Spark on and Martin Paver from Projecting Success, if that's okay. And we can run the polls and get people to kind of, we can sense check where people are with their journey into an apprenticeship. We've got 4 polls running, so get your fingers ready and please participate. Martin, Richard, thanks for joining us. Anything that you've heard that you want to kind of build on whilst we get these polls up and running?
Absolutely.
Richard, I'll come to you.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me, Mike? Good morning.
Yeah, I hear you perfectly, Richard.
I think one of the great things I always find listening to people who've been on the program is actually the most inspiring thing, and I love the fact that the myths were dispelled, that apprenticeships aren't just for people that are school and college leavers. They are absolutely a workforce development tool to help close some of the skills gaps. I think it was it James that said, it's here now. Absolutely right. Every single job that we're involved in includes data of some description, so it's not some sort of dry subject to be scared of. It's absolutely critical in providing insights and helping any organization make better informed decisions. So it's a wonderful tool, apprenticeships. Obviously Martin and I are very passionate about it, but I just thought Blanca and James did a brilliant job of demonstrating it's for any level of person. If you're keen to learn something in your space that you're passionate about, take up the opportunity. We're never too old to learn, are we?
No, absolutely not. And I'll pop it in the chat, the podcast that you and I did a couple of months ago around the importance of building digital capabilities through apprenticeships for people that haven't yet seen it. Martin, did you want to come in on anything that you've heard and share some news?
So what we're trying to do is really transform the profession. So we started back in 2017 in terms of this question. We've now built a community, so a project data analytics community of about 9,000 people. And as part of this apprenticeship as well, we run a hackathon. So a hackathon, the next one is going to be at the Spurs ground. It's on the 28th, 29th of November. In the evening, there's going to be a bar with the World Cup match, England-Wales match on, £5,000 in prizes. Loads of sponsors come along and get involved. Everybody wants to change the profession, all right? Everything Joe's talked about, and Joe's now got a job in the IPA, right? So she's in the IPA today. She's going to change the entire profession across all of government as a consequence of this project data analytics initiative. So if you look back, I don't know, 10 years and think, right, I don't do Excel because it's somebody else's job to do Excel. That's where some people's thinking at the moment. It's not my job to do data, it's somebody else's job to do data. Do we have a separate Excel team? No, we don't. It's all become part of our job. Exactly the same with data. It's a bigger and bigger part of our job. We just need to get an increment of learning through an apprenticeship, an increment of learning, which just makes sure that you're in the race all the time, right? You're keeping up with the latest technology. The idea of front loading all of your training, so you just do a degree when you're 18, 19, 20, those days have gone. You know, this technology is moving at such a pace is we need to keep up to speed with it. We need to keep topping up our learning. So it's lifelong learning.
Yeah, so that's a really important point, actually. I think certainly I'm seeing a shift in how learning and development's traditionally viewed from a sort of 2-day classroom, and you're suddenly digitally capable, to something longer term through apprenticeships. And I think for anyone that's listening today that's in a trust that really struggles to get investment in their workforce to develop their people, you know, if your organization's paying a levy, which most are, if not all, you know, it's an easy way to upskill and retain your staff and develop them and, you know, nurture that talent. And so we've got the results of the first poll come in. Looks like most people are pretty tempted by, you know, what we've heard today, and looks like most people are quite keen to apply for one of these apprenticeships. Richard, Martin,
Great news. Great news.
That is great news. So there's two ways people could, well, there's a number of ways people can do that through the HPCA, which has been officially launched today. You can link to me and I'll come and chat to you about apprenticeships, but also you can link to the folks at Cambridge Spark and Projecting Success. They've both got register your interest pages, so you can leave your details there and find out more. We've done a bunch of recorded webinars, both with Cambridge Spark and Projecting Success, about the academic components that make up their offer, as well as you know, Blanca and others, learners that have been on it, and line managers that have been on it, that sharing their journey. And I think that's important as well, to build some confidence. So there's ways and means to get in touch, and we're here to support you through it. So if you are an organizational decision maker as well, someone who has a part in organizational development, and you want to hear more, you know, we can support you through that as well. So we're close to time. Can't believe it. If there is time to run the next bit of the poll before close, that'll be nice. We did have 4 questions. We're going to only have time for 2. The next one is, what is holding you back? This is one of the frustrations, you know, me and the providers and others face, is what is it that's stopping you? I mean, it could be an organizational blockage that needs flushing out, or it could be a personal barrier that you're facing. But if you want to just vote on that poll, and then we can maybe capture that, and I think that will help to inform some of the messaging going forward, really.
I think Mike, if I can just interject,
yeah, of course you can. Yeah,
if you're passionate about something and you want to make an improvement in your organization, it's amazing how you can find the time to do it. You know, yes, it's a commitment, of course it is, but learning any new skill is a commitment, isn't it? But you quickly get, was it Blanca who said day 2 she'd already come up with ideas that she's going to help her business? I mean, how phenomenal is that? That you know, you're going to learn some stuff and you're going to apply it, or it's going to get your brain whirring away to decide how you're going to make improvements in your organization. So yes, of course there's a time commitment, but the return on investment, you know, you will, I think Blanca again talked about automation. If you imagine you're doing everything kind of fairly manual at the moment, or not integrated, or on spreadsheets, and you're going to start to automate it out through, you know, programming languages and the techniques that Martin's company and mine at Cambridge Spark teach, then you're going to save time down the line. So that little bit of investment up front, you'll get it back in spades. Absolutely. So I think that's an easy one to dispel. If you're passionate about something, you will absolutely find time to do it.
Can we pick up that point about belief as well? So could have been sort of Blanca in. So Blanca, this all sounds quite difficult with Python and all of these big words that we throw around, machine learning and ontologies and that sort of stuff. What's your view on it, Blanca, about belief in yourself, about being able to do this thing?
I love to learn new things, and when you feel that you have a gap, you need to take that step forward and learn something new. But for me, it was more trying to get the knowledge that I needed. I got to the point that I need to know more about data, more about the how to automate things, and how to be more efficient, and how to understand data. For me, was about, it doesn't stop me to anything to get me into the apprenticeship. But the most important thing was the support, not only from my team and my organization, but from the team that is providing the apprenticeship. If you decided to go to the apprenticeship, you will have that opportunity. You have always 13 months or 14 months, I don't know from you, from Cambridge, but from Projecting Success is 30 months. But you always have the team supporting you and giving you ideas and technical support. Not everything works at first, but it's a really good journey to be able to try and explore new things in an apprenticeship, and in your apply to your day job. It's not just theory in there.
And it's low code as well, right? It's very easy to get hold of. So with Python, for instance, you can go and take somebody else's code and apply it. So it just teach you the methods about, being able to do this quite easily. You don't need to be a programmer to come on this thing.
No,
it's not what we're teaching you. We're teaching you to think differently. We're teaching you to open your mind to this brand new world that we're going to get into. Project delivery is going to change more in the next 5 years than the last 50 years combined.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's great. Thanks, Martin. Blanca, thanks for sharing, and Richard. And to Joe and James for their input as well. It's been a fantastic session. I can tell because of the chat that's been going on. Joe Stanford's kindly added some documents. So if you refresh your browser, you'll have access to other things. The last results of the poll, what's holding you back? Well, 29% of you said it's lack of line management support, followed by lack of time, and then belief in myself. 25% of you said nothing's holding you back. So, Richard, Martin, expect a load of enrolments.
Yeah, I think Martin, I'm sure will agree with me. But the one on the line manager, I appreciate that. It's difficult sometimes as an individual to kind of sell the concept. That's what Martin and I are here for. We will always talk to your line manager and explain the benefits, and it won't take very long for them to see the value of doing this program. So don't feel that you have to do all of the kind of conversation yourself. Do involve Martin and myself and his team and my team. We'd be delighted to have conversations with your line manager and help get the message over, because we're passionate about helping you. Yeah,
100%. The HPCA has been set up, as Joe said, going from that voluntary collaborative to something more formal to do just that and make it easy for people to access, that motivation. We want to harness that and make it easy for you all.
Mike, there's been some questions posted in the.
There has.
Will they get? I know we're running out of time, but will they get answered afterwards and shared
I can
with the slide?
Yeah, I can share them with you all, and you can answer those. We are actually 4 minutes over time, but no one's complaining. We haven't been kicked off yet. But a big thank you to all my guests today. It's been wonderful, and hopefully we've changed people's perception, and we've created a sense of drive into apprenticeships. There's still more to do around this, and we'll pick this up and we'll look to do some sessions on it. But for anyone that's interested, Richard, Martin, when are the next cohorts? When are the next dates, and how frequent are they? Just so people have got an idea on that, please.
You go first, Martin.
So the closing date for ours is next week. It starts at the end of September. and we run them every 2 months.
Okay, super. Thanks, Martin. And Richard, Cambridge Spark?
Yeah, similar every 2 months. We've actually just closed our September cohort because it's been so encouraging, but we're open already for November with the deadline the 21st of October. So plenty of opportunity with both organisations to get involved.
Right, excellent. Thanks so much. Thanks to everyone that's got involved, for all the comments, all the questions. We'll come back to you on those, and enjoy the rest of your day. The next session to follow is session 4, and that's frontline digitisation with Paul Gilliott, who's programme director, and he's going to share with you some of the learning from NHS England's frontline digitisation programme. So want to definitely get yourself involved. So go and have a tea, coffee, whatever you fancy, and then we'll see you in 10. Thanks a lot and have a great day.